And welcome. Let's take a look at our top story this hour. Foreign ministers of the G7 countries have condemned what they call the confirmed poisoning of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny. A statement released by the U.S. State Department said, and I quote, "We, the G7 foreign ministers of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom and the United States of America and the High Representative of the European Union are united in condemning in the strongest possible terms the confirmed poisoning of Alexei Navalny." In a separate tweet, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said this attack contravenes the international norms prohibiting the use of such weapons. The G7 foreign ministers demand Russia to quickly find and prosecute the culprits behind the poisoning. The joint statement said, and I quote, "We, the G7 foreign ministers, call on Russia to urgently and fully establish transparency on who is responsible for this abhorrent poisoning attack, and bearing in mind Russia's commitments under the Chemical Weapons Convention to bring the perpetrators to justice." Germany briefed the G7 nations that Navalny is a victim of an attack with a chemical nerve agent of the Novichok group. The statement added that G7 countries will continue to monitor Russia's response to international calls for an explanation. Now remember, the Berlin hospital where Navalny is admitted has confirmed that he is now out of a coma. This comes more than 15 days after he was put in a medically induced coma. The Berlin hospital has found traces of Novichok, a Soviet-era nerve agent. Navalny's family and spokesperson have been accusing the Kremlin of poisoning him right from day one. Political analyst Dmitry Babich joins us live from Moscow for more on this. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. The foreign ministers of the G7 countries have now condemned this confirmed poisoning of Alexei Navalny in the strongest terms. They've used words like abhorrent and hideous, calling for transparency and urgent action.
Well, it's interesting that this statement is made after Russia actually suggested to cooperate with German medics who claim they found traces of a Novichok-type nerve agent in Navalny. But the problem is that the German authorities and the German medics they just refuse to cooperate with Russia in any way. They refuse to show any evidence. The German doctors who claim they found this nerve agent in Navalny never revealed their names. And of course, in this situation, Russia views this attitude of the German side as very suspicious. The Russian Foreign Ministry came out with its own statement today, which says, I quote, that the campaign in support of Navalny doesn't seem to care about his health. It rather seems to care about imposing new sanctions on Russia. This seems to be the case, because if the Russian government wanted to kill Navalny, first, they would probably use a serious poison that would kill him. Second, they would not have an emergency landing and they would not have Navalny treated. Let me explain to our viewers, as you rightly said, the coma in which Navalny had been until yesterday, it was medically induced by Russian doctors because they were afraid that he might die from pain or from some unclear circumstances. So it was the Russian medics who saved Navalny. And it was a Russian government-financed plane that took Navalny to Germany. So now, instead of cooperation from Germany, we are facing these accusations, and we are hearing German officials to make an absolutely unfounded linkage between the case of Navalny and the Nord Stream project, which is supposed to help German business, but which is opposed by the United States and by the European Union and other globalist forces. So it looks like the globalist forces, which control G7, are just using all of this situation with Navalny in order to put more pressure on Russia. They openly say that Russia is their enemy, just like China.
Right, of course. This attack, of course, contravenes the international norms prohibiting the use of such weapons like this nerve agent.
Well, again, how do we know that a chemical weapon was used against Navalny? We only know it from the statement by German government, which quotes some unnamed anonymous medics. They have never presented any formulas. They have never presented any, I don't know, graphs or any kind of evidence that would support their view. We are just supposed to believe anonymous German doctors. And even if Navalny was poisoned, obviously he was in acute pain on that plane. Why do they think that it was done by the Russian government? Mr. Navalny has a lot of enemies inside Russia and outside Russia. He certainly is no match to the Russian government and to Mr. Putin electorally, politically. He was losing popularity during the last 5 years. So there was absolutely no sense, it made absolutely no sense for President Putin to keep Navalny in political life, as it was the case during the last 5 years, and now to try to kill him. The main question is who profits? A cui bono, as the Romans used to say.
Right. Dmitry, thank you very much for joining us for all the latest there.